Hello everyone, welcome to population ecology. I'm just going to give you intro on a couple of terms here. So population size is the number of organisms in an area at a given time. Will grow when the resources are abundant, and if the resources are not available, the population kind of levels off. And of course, if they don't have any enemies or competitors. So when there's a resource loss, like I said, the population is going to decline or it's going to level off. And whenever there's a disaster, the numbers go down or any impacts from other species. For example, habitat loss. Humans cutting down forest is a habitat loss for a certain type of animal population. And that means if they don't have any habitat to stay in, the number is going to go down. North American passenger pigeon declined and went extinct due to overhunting. So that's pigeon hunting in Iowa. Population density is described as the number of individuals per unit area. So dispersion or distribution, so that's what we're going to discuss in this video. Um, that's really that's how the members of the population spread out in a defined area. So like what does the spacing of a population is, how are they spaced out? So here we have some pine trees, but I don't really see any pattern here. So these trees in this forest, wherever they're found within a geographic area. So when we compare these with each other, it's kind of a random dispersion. So we could call it dispersion or distribution. Both are fine. So there are three types that it can be. It can be random, it can be clumped, or it can be uniform. So because these trees, they don't really have a pattern, this is a random dispersion. So where the individuals or population are found within a geographic area in comparison with each other. So we're gonna call this, so there's three types, random, clumped, or uniform, and we're gonna call this random dispersion pattern. So we have some dandelions here. This is an example. So dandelion flowers. I don't know if you ever picked these to make a wish. So these are individual seedlings that are kind of flying off of these. So those are going to go travel with air wherever they land, one of these seeds, then you'll have new dandelions there. So they'll grow. So it's all random. So for example, here's a dandelion and the seedlings are kind of going with air when they're landing on a random spot. And then we're going to have new dandelions there. There's no pattern to it. And most of the populations that you're going to study are going to have a random distribution or dispersion pattern. So plants, most of the time, it kind of depends on where the seeds fall. So most of the time it's random. And then we have another type here. And here you can see they're kind of in groups. So when they're in groups, we call them clumped. They're clumped together. So now you wouldn't really see clumped in plants too much because plants really are going to compete for sunlight and nutrients in the soil and space. They need space for their roots. So clumped isn't common in plants, but you'll find these in animals. So here we have a group of starfish living together. That would be clumped distribution pattern. And wolves, they also pack animals. They hunt in packs together. So that would be a clumped distribution pattern. Um, so think about why would a species ever be in a clump distribution? Well, it could be for hunting, could be for protection against predators, safety. More of you have in the group, less likely you're going to be the one that gets eaten by the predator. So, schools of fish, sometimes you see those together. So that be clumped pattern. And here in this picture, we have these lines. So this is very uniform. They're evenly spread out in a uniform distribution or pattern. And you'll see sometimes, plants look like this, but it might be more on a tree farm or something like that where humans planted them. So if you look at an aerial view over a desert, maybe where water is limited resource, the roots underneath the ground will actually like compete with each other nearby the route. So that might lead to a uniform pattern distribution due to competition for space. So when it does rain, the roots can get the water. So another example that your book gives of uniform distribution are penguins or the other birds that are territorial, and they build their nests right out of um, pecking distance. So this is a uniform pattern. You can also see that in penguins. That's the example your book is using. So if you look at an aerial view, their nest would be uniformly spaced, where one bird can't reach nearby. So that would be uniform distribution pattern. Okay, so to summarize, there are three types of dispersion or distribution patterns. Distribution is spatial arrangement of organisms within an area. So where we have where the individuals are clustered together, they create some patches with many individuals and some patches with no individuals. So we have um, random, shows no particular pattern here. Um, and then we also have where the individuals are arranged without any apparent pattern. That's random distribution organisms display no pattern. And then if they are spaced out evenly, that's uniform. And if they are clumped together, then that's clumped again in groups. So those are three types. And sex ratio is the proportion of the males and to females. So 1-on-1 ratio are seen in monogamous species. Ratios vary in others. Age structure describes the number of individuals at different ages within a population. So maybe, in a certain area in a population, there might be more newborn babies compared to older people, or it might be the opposite. This can help you predict whether a population will grow or shrink in the near future. So populations, they may grow, shrink, or remain stable. So the demographers, when they study this, they track four key population factors. Natality is the births within a population. Mortality is deaths in that population. Immigration is people coming in from outside. Emigration, people leaving from the population. All these factors are going to affect population size. So the rate of natural increase is determined by subtracting the death rate from the birth rate. So you take the birth rate minus the death rate, that's going to give you the growth rate for the population. So the actual population growth rate includes the effects of emigration and immigration as well. So birth rate minus death rate plus immigration, people coming in, and minus people leaving. So the rates may be expressed per 1,000 individuals per year. These can be used in a formula, or they might be in percentages. So that's all I wanted to say for this. Thank you for listening.